Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network. Reasons why you tune into GABNET. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that he could actually, a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone calls on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be able to be treated as an enemy combatant.
I think so.
GABNET. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GABNET. It's talk like you've never heard it before. You love GABNET. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GABNET is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GABNET programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GABNET wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GABNET.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GABNET, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GABNET laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Reasons why you tune into GABNET. Here's reason number 9, great celebrity guests.
So how many years is this now with Teller?
43, and that's 43 continuous. You can try to say Keith Richards and Mick Jagger go longer, but they take 3, 4, 5 years off. Even when they're together, they take the time off. Continuous, no more than 2 weeks working apart.
Wow. And
like being waterboarded for 43 years.
GABNET. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GABNET. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, how are ya? It's the Ramble. Yep. And we're here until midnight tonight. Let me get my earphones up a little bit. I put in new earbuds in here, and they got to get used to me, and I got to get used to them. Hold on a second. Squeeze them, and then they go in, and then they expand, and they plug up my ear so that I don't hear an extraneous noise. There we go. I think those will hold. All right. Hello there, everybody. How are you? Listen, I don't have any guests tonight for the first half hour. I don't have any video to show. Well, I do have one piece of video to show. I always get a little bit of a good laugh out of this. I love this one. We all do. It's become the most important viral video of the year. There we go. Here. I got toilet paper on my foot. Yes, I do. And goodbye. Okay. That's let's watch it again. Goodbye, everybody. See you later. Bye. Yeah, see you later. Okay, I love showing that. It's the only thing that makes me happy. Nothing else makes me happy these days. Otherwise, I'm absolutely fucking miserable. Okay? All right? Fucking miserable. No, I'm like everybody. I'm just miserable about the state of the country right now and the state in which it's in. But I've been for the last couple of days we've been dealing with this whole thing with these bombs that somebody sent out. Now, whether they were meant to go off or not is a big question. But certainly what they were meant to do and what they had the effect of doing is terrorize the country. And when you terrorize people, guess what that's called? Terrorism. So whether the bombs go off or the bombs don't go off, it's terrorism, ladies and gentlemen, no matter which way you cut it. Last night we had somebody on our program saying, well, they didn't go off. Well, that doesn't make it any less of an act of terrorism. It would make it more an act of terrorism if people got hurt, but thank God nobody did. And by the way, these bombs were capable of exploding because the one that they got at what's his name's place, the billionaire. They exploded that one to make sure it wasn't going to explode, or it wouldn't explode anywhere else but in safe conditions. But the rest of them, they didn't explode because they were able to dismantle them. They were not well made, but still it was an act of terrorism. And it was an act of terrorism against people who have been critical of Donald Trump. And tonight my wife said to me, and I poo-pooed her with it, but if you think about it, there's a certain logic in what she said. She said, do you think maybe Trump had these planted? And I'm going, no way. Wait a minute. He's capable of anything. So I have not discounted that chance. You know, it's a little bit of a wild-eyed, wide-ass theory, but let's think about it for a moment. You're a president. You have no scruples. We know that that's the case with Donald Trump, and you want to silence your critics. So what you do is to scare them, you send out bombs to each of their homes from some covert operation that you've created. And then in no way is it going to get back to you. And, of course, people like me are going to sit there and go, nah, he wouldn't do that. Oh? He wouldn't talk to the Russians, and he wouldn't deal with the Saudis, and he doesn't seem to like and abide by dictators. Anything's possible, I suppose, isn't it? You know. So anyway, I mean, I don't think so. I'd like to believe not. I'd like to believe that the guy isn't so bereft of morality that he would attempt something like that. But, you know, he does various things, and, well, we can't put anything past him. Ta-da! Okay, anyway. I've been drinking coffee every night. You know why I'm drinking coffee? Because the doctor gave me, for these numb feet that I have, this thing called gabapentin, which I had tried at one time, and it seemed to make the feet worse. But now I suddenly realize if you take it enough times, it makes the feet actually feel better. But it makes me feel kind of a little drowsy throughout the day. But the one thing is, it's had two effects on me. Number one, I sleep like a baby. You know, I wake a couple of times during the night, but basically I have not been taking Xanax at all to put me to sleep. This stuff puts me to sleep, and it's not a, what do you call it? A thing like Xanax. It's not a, what is Xanax? It's kind of a tranquilizer. This is more. This does something that kind of smooths down any nerve pain you might have. Okay, but still, it makes you drowsy. So you know, just like Benadryl is not one of these mood elevating drugs or lowering drugs or whatever, and it will put you to sleep too. So it puts me to sleep. But I wake up and I'm kind of a little bit drowsy. The other thing, though, is I'm an absolute delight to be around. And I think girlfriend will have to admit it, and I'll have her attest to this tomorrow night. I have been a sweetheart. I've been just so wonderful. I haven't been driving her crazy like I normally do, because I have the ability to drive her crazy. Yeah, so anyway. You know, so... I really shouldn't let these things bother me, because they shouldn't bother me. I'm doing just fine. I don't have these drugs bothering me to any appreciable extent, and they actually make my mood a little bit better. You know, so I just, you know, I shouldn't be letting all this stuff bother me so much. But geez almighty, you know, we need a leader in this country, and we don't have a leader. We don't have somebody with leadership skills. We have somebody whose only skills in business were that he knew how to be a crook, okay, and he knew how to finesse the mob and people associated with mobsters, and you know, but we don't have leadership. He doesn't have the leadership skills, because if he did, you know, last night when he was giving a speech, he should have said, you know, this whole election is getting contentious, and it leads people to do terrible things like these bombs. And, you know, maybe some of my rhetoric, which I meant in jest or whatever, hasn't been taken that way by some people, and has been taken as a sense of permission by those people. And so I apologize, and I will bring down my rhetoric, and I hope everybody will tamp theirs down as well. But we didn't hear that from him. Instead, we heard a outright attack on the press, that it's the press's fault that created this atmosphere. I got news for you, Donald. The press doesn't create atmosphere. The press reports the news. And they try to do it in as unbiased a way as possible. I know some people find that hard to believe, and it's not possible to be 100% unbiased, because if you're a reporter, and let's say you're a lefty, and now you're out doing a story on the president, it's going to be toned somewhat by your politics. But if you're a really good reporter, you know how to put that aside and just report the news. But the problem is, we don't just report the news anymore. I can't tell you how sick I am of MSNBC. I can't tell you. I'd tell you I was sick of CNN, but I don't watch them that much, although I have in the last couple of days to see how they were reporting their own big story. I watch Fox occasionally. So when I say I watch MSNBC most of the time and they piss me off, it's because I watch them the most of anybody else. Also, the other one that pisses me off is Lester Holt and his lousy 6:30 newscast. 6:30 here. I don't know what time it's on where you are. Let me explain what I'm saying. If I watch MSNBC for a full day, let's say it's on from noon to 6, I'm going to see the same show 6 times. They all do the same stories. And sometimes if they're film stories, every other show will run one film story and every other show will run the other film story. I say film, tape, whatever it is. And I'm just sick of the fact that they seem to all just have the same news, hour after hour after hour. Now, when I was in early days of radio, we did 5 minutes of news at the top of the hour. Usually I had to do it if I was the disc jockey, and the next disc jockey that came on did it. The only time that other people did it is when I got into bigger markets like New York City or Chicago, and then I had newsmen who read the newscast during those 5 minutes. In fact, one of them was Don Cornelius when I was in Chicago. Another guy was doing news for me. It was usually Don Cornelius, but sometimes it was Bernard Shaw. He was really the head of the news department at WIND in Chicago. Anyway, we used to have news for 5 minutes every hour, and I kept saying to program directors and anybody that would listen to me, why do we do this? Because every hour the news is the same. And he said, we do it because the people want to know that nothing has changed. And in a way, that kind of made some kind of sense to me. They said, I can't remember who told me, but, we do the news every hour. And yes, it does change, but it only changes moderately. But that's all that people really want to know. They want to know that nothing much has happened. And if something has happened, that the news now changes, and they have that piece of knowledge. And that even though the newscasts are a lot alike from hour to hour, over a 24-hour period, they change profoundly. Well, you could say that was the philosophy of MSNBC, except, sometimes people have MSNBC on all the time. And so you're watching basically the same show. So-and-so starts off with a story about the bombs. Then the next hour, it's another hour or so about the bombs. And the next hour, it's another hour about the bombs. And you all know that on MSNBC, they're not going to be too fond of the way the president is handling it, but you can always click over to Fox and see how they're so happy with the excuses he's giving for his bad behavior. In between all those stations, I've got Glenn Beck and his thing, the Blaze, and I've got news. What is it? The right-wing news organization, Newsmax. And then I've got another one, OAC. I don't know what the hell that is. And the BBC's in there somewhere. And sometimes I'll stop for the BBC because with the BBC I've got news that's, pretty damn good. At least it's not a repetitious, and it doesn't really have a viewpoint. Okay? And I don't really want news with a viewpoint. I have my political beliefs, and I know what they are. And I stick to them firmly, and they've been bred into me from when I was a child. And now that I'm an adult, I am fully aware of what my politics are, and they're firmly entrenched. I don't think they're going to change. You're not going to see me waking up tomorrow morning and me saying, being a conservative sounds like a good idea. Just like I know Phil isn't going to do that either. I'm too old to change that way. But on the other hand, I don't want to watch an organization that's just pandering to me. I'd like to hear some news reported that maybe makes me question my own beliefs. All right? That's why I do go over to Fox occasionally, but it's a little on the difficult side because over there, it's not that they're giving me an alternative opinion. They are dogmatically giving me an alternative opinion, just like dogmatically MSNBC is giving me a left-wing opinion. Now, a lot of people I know love MSNBC. Oh, I just love them. They're terrific. Isn't that Katie Tur terrific? Isn't Chuck Todd wonderful? Isn't Rachel Maddow? Oh, God. If anybody wants to, if there's any lesbian out there who sucks dick every night, it's Rachel Maddow. And I don't like to be pandered to. I like to be challenged. But maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you just want to hear what you want to hear. You want to have your feelings justified. The only person that should justify your feelings is you. And feelings aren't hard to come by. If you just listen to your heart, then you'll know what your feelings are. And if you don't listen to your heart, well, then I guess you got to listen to MSNBC, or you got to listen to Fox, or you got to listen to Newsmax, or whatever. I don't know where CNN fits into all this, because I really don't watch CNN a lot, because I can't stand Wolf Blitzer. There's just something about Wolf Blitzer that is off-putting for me. So, anyway. I'm just tired of the pandering that these networks do to their core audience. Oh, hey, we're Fox. We've got to pander to our conservatives. Hey, we're MSNBC. We're going to pander to the liberals. And CNN. Unfortunately, CNN has become very anti-Trump, and there's a good reason for it. If somebody was putting you down constantly, wouldn't you be against them too? They've been more the target of Trump than any other network. I mean, I've heard, no wonder the bombs went to CNN, because I don't ever hear the president going after MSNBC or saying them by name. It's usually CNN. And CNN has gotten to the point where Jeff Zucker over there, I think, is just so sick and fucking tired of this president calling what he does fake news that he's decided, okay, he wants to have a war, then we'll go to war against him, which is not the best idea. Here's why it's not the best idea. You shouldn't let somebody dictate how you're going to handle your news. You should try to be as unbiased as possible. You know who started CNN? Was Ted Turner. And Ted Turner started it because he got sick of news that was biased. He felt that one night he was watching CBS, or so the story goes, or so he tells it. He was watching CBS and he saw Dan Rather, and Dan Rather did a story, and then he saw Dan Rather smirk. And he said, I want to start a network where nobody smirks. Where they just read the news, right? And they're honest about it, and they report it as it is. And no matter what their own political feelings are, they throw those aside and just report the news. And that's why he started CNN. I remember the day they opened up. I watched the first minute CNN started. And I remember what they said. The first thing they ever said was, ladies and gentlemen, this is CNN signing on for the last time. And they were right. They were signing on for the last time, because they've never signed off since. And the idea of a 24/7 news operation, I mean, when he said he was going to do that, I went, are you nuts? I mean, the networks have a hard time filling a half hour every night. But somehow, one thing led to another, and that became a very powerful piece of information. And when CNN went to the Mideast, when they were reporting from Baghdad, when Baghdad was being bombed, they got their stripes, and they were officially an important news operation. Jane Fonda likes to say that Ted Turner actually created CNN when he was high on pot one night. So, and it sounds like something you do if you're high on pot. Hey, you know what I think we're going to do? I think I'm going to put on a 24/7 news operation. Yeah. Call it the Cable News Network. Right, yeah. Because Ted Turner already had the what he called the superstation, which was WTBS, which is now just TBS. I don't even know if it was called WTBS down there. But anyway, so he knew how to go up on a satellite, because he was the first guy ever to use satellites to take his little UHF station in Atlanta, and he sent it up to the bird and out to all these cable systems across the country, who then went out, and so they could, he even, I think, spent money to give them the receivers for the satellite, and so they would run it on their station. So he took this little UHF station, which wouldn't really on its own make much money, and made it a national company. And so the next thing he did was do the same thing, but CNN, right? As long as he had the transponders up there on satellites, and they were cheap at that time. I remember once, I got to tell you this, we were doing Midnight Blue, we had a guy come into us from one of the big satellite companies who had the satellites spinning around the Earth. And he said, we can let you have a transponder. Now, a transponder is one of the channels. There's, I think, maybe 20, 30 transponders on a satellite, okay? I may be wrong. It may be more now, maybe less. I don't know. But at that time, it was something like that. And he said, we can give you a whole transponder. We'll give it to you for $300 a week. What? $300 a week? And do you realize years later how much that would really be worth? Wow. Son of a bitch. We turned him down because my partner Al Goldstein said, we don't need a satellite. So anyway, we didn't have a satellite, but we could have got, even if we didn't put Midnight Blue up on the satellite, we could have just sold time to people to use the satellite transponder. So anyway, so that was the whole early iteration of CNN and why they existed, to be an unbiased news operation. Now, granted, they're probably more biased today than they were. They're less biased than MSNBC, certainly less biased than Fox, okay? They kind of fit there somewhere in the middle where they're trying to report, and because they're trying to be so unopinionated, at least in the news hours, which end about 6 o'clock at night, so unopinionated in those news hours that they get the perception that they're too much to the left or too much to the right or whatever. Anytime you try to be, if I did this show and I didn't express my opinion, everybody would say, some people say, he's really a liberal. And other people say, he's really conservative. Because they always attribute to your non-commitment to a political ideology as being whatever they want you to be. Okay? And so CNN, I think CNN is somewhere verging in the middle. With MSNBC going out of their way to be lefties. And we'll have a lot to talk about with that tonight with the firing of Megyn Kelly by NBC today. And whether that had to do with their being left-wing as opposed to right-wing. Although I never found that any major corporation, especially in the case of MSNBC, that's owned by Comcast. And I don't know that Comcast is left-wing, but their news operations, at least not the 6:30 news with Lester Holt, that's just laughable. When you're spending 10 minutes out of the 30 minutes you have allotted to you, which is really 21 minutes that's allotted to you after commercials, you spend 10 minutes on feel-good stories and clips you got from YouTube. I don't think that's really reporting the news every night and being a very valuable asset. But certainly that newscast doesn't have a political ideology. But you go over to MSNBC and they do. So you could argue that NBC is, in fact, skewed towards the left wing. But anyway, I'm getting sick of watching, what do you call it? Watching, hold on a second, I've got to get rid of some stuff here, of watching MSNBC and being pandered to. And, I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Okay? All right. Anyway, listen, I'm opening the lines here if anybody wants to call. I always question why I even do this. And Marjorie says to me, well, what else would you do? And I said, you're right. I'll go in there and do it again tonight. But sometimes I wonder why I go put in the effort, to do this. And then I do the show, and it's a good show, and I go, well, that's why I do it, Also because there's some people who like calling the show and talking to me, and we enjoy as a group kicking things around together. And, so the lines are open, by the way, in case nobody's noticed. And you can call me. That would be nice, too. Ah, yes. Here comes Phil Meyer, the person everybody seems to hate. I get more nasty stuff about you. People saying I can't listen to your show anymore because that loudmouth is on there.
All right, so I'll give it to you now. You get a bomb. You get a bomb. You get a bomb. But I know it didn't come from Oprah because they shorted the postage. She could afford the postage.
Have you been thinking that joke up all day?
Of course.
Boy, that was bad. Some bad writing. If you were a writer on my show, I'd fire you for that one.
Well, just double my salary.
You get a bomb. It doesn't even scan right. You
get a Buick. You get a Buick.
No, I understand that's where you're getting it from, but it just doesn't. Doesn't.
Oh well, how would you do it?
I wouldn't do it. There's not a joke there. It's who was it that said the comedy is tragedy plus time? And I'm sorry, this only happened yesterday.
If the bombs went off,
don't give me that.
There'd be a tragedy.
The bombs had one effect that they were meant to have, and that was to terrorize people.
Are you terrorized?
Yes, I live in New York. I don't know, I'm not terrorized because I don't think they're going to send a bomb to my house. But if I were somebody like a public figure, I think I might be worried, yes.
Do you think that there's a possibility that the Democrats sent this out to themselves?
Is there a possibility that Trump sent them out to get these people?
Probably.
Yeah. So don't give me those, that kind of, what can I call it? Bullshit.
But Trump would have put the White House seal on it.
Yeah, right. He would have been stupid enough to. Yeah. Or he would have been happy to say he did it. But I mean, I just, comedy is tragedy plus time, and that's where we get the other joke, which is too soon. You do a joke, nobody laughs, you go, too soon?
Yeah.
But the fact is, you can do a joke about about Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Go right ahead.
Sure.
Very funny ones. How'd you enjoy the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
That's getting a little long in the tooth, though.
Yeah, but tragedy plus time. And I'm not saying that has to be a long time. But there was a very funny thing that used to happen. Sometimes there'd be a tragedy, and the next day there would be the same joke running around the country. Same joke.
That's because of stockbrokers.
Yeah, the stockbrokers, supposedly, that's how they say it started. Stockbrokers in New York heard a joke, and they told all their friends on the phone they're talking to across the country, and then that spread from there. Before you know it, like, you remember when the shuttle blew up?
Yeah.
And the joke the next day was, so you know what happened? What? Freebasing. So that's what happens.
That's comedy plus time?
Well, no, what I'm saying is that it's comedy plus, I don't know, this quick thing that happened. But no, it wasn't time yet. Even though I heard the joke, I did not tell it on the radio.
Yeah, well, and you don't think that with the internet that this stuff spreads just as quickly as it did with stockbrokers?
I don't see as much of that. If you go online right now, I don't think you're going to see any jokes about the bombs.
No,
I haven't seen any yet.
Yeah, only on your show.
Only on only out of you.
I know.
I don't find anything funny about it. I think that it's an act of terrorism, and it's meant to terrorize us, and whether the bombs go off or not, they have their effect.
Well, I'm hoping that it has a different effect, actually. I'm hoping that maybe what it will do is it'll unify the country, and there'll be a little less divisiveness and people working towards doing the right thing.
Well, then what's the president going to do to help that?
Well, he claims. I was listening to the TV tonight, and I think it was CNN that I was listening to, and they were saying that the president is divisive and came down on them with the fake news and all of these things. So CNN is doing the same thing to the president. So it's got to stop on both sides. Somebody's got to let up first.
Well, and, I think the person with the biggest bully pulpit is the president, and he should be the one to stop first. And by stopping, I think he'll find if he stops, there won't be a reason for CNN or anybody else to go after him. But last night he went out and gave a speech, and immediately he was back on it again. And he turns around and he blames the press, which it isn't the press's fault. I'm sorry, Phil. No matter what you think, the press is not complicit in any of this. The press reports the news. He doesn't happen to like the news. Your light is going on and off, Jeff, because you've got a big light in back of you.
I'll move it around.
Yeah, move it around so you're not with that light, right? Yeah.
Is that better?
Well, yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you look like you have a halo.
You see the smirk that you say that Ted Turner noticed on other newscasts from Dan Rather.
Yeah.
I see that same kind of thing on the CBS guys. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't think I can get it. But from the CBS people and from the not so much the CNN, but definitely from the CBS.
Well, I've watched I've watched CBS, and I find them to be pretty even-handed, to be honest with you.
That's because you agree with them.
But so's the NBC late news. The national stuff tries to be as objective as it can be. Okay, even though, look, you're never going to be 100% objective because the people reporting the news all have their own individual opinions, but that doesn't mean they're going to necessarily not be able to divorce themselves from those opinions in order to report the news decently. All right?
Some do.
But CBS, if you want to pick on CBS, that's not the people to pick on. I think that...
And you don't think that they choose the stories that they want to put out to be able to deal with their agenda? For instance, Fox chooses different types. You see the stories on Fox, not only do they have a different bent, but they're different stories. Whereas on
what they're doing,
CBS,
what they're doing though is they're avoiding stories that make the administration look bad.
Right, and on the other hand, they're picking stories.
No, the other people may just feel they're reporting the news. Here's what the president said today, and they show some stupid thing he said because every time he opens his mouth, there's something there. Hell, my video that I like to play here of him with the toilet paper on his foot. My God, I would run that as a loop on MSNBC if I had the ability.
Well, don't squeeze the Charmin.
Huh?
Don't squeeze the Charmin.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is that I think that I think the news people would like to be as even-handed as possible. But when they are being called fake news, when they are being assailed for their very craft, don't you think that's going to make them feel somewhat bitter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did, they report, is it 90% of what they report is negative against Trump?
Well, maybe 90% of what he does truly is negative.
Well, how come they can find all this positive stuff on Fox where they don't find any positive stuff on the other ones?
I've watched Fox. They don't find positive stuff on Fox about him. In fact, I watched Fox today, and they had somebody on who was absolutely savaging Trump. But they have their problems with Trump as well. Not Hannity. Hannity sucks his dick every night. Uses
the same attorney. Hey, I don't want to get too far away from Trump, but I heard today that there was another bomb scare at one Columbus. Is it Columbus Circle?
Yeah, but I think it turned out not to be. They were just worried that a package they got was questionable, and they called the bomb squad. The bomb squad came out, got everybody out of the building, and then looked at it and deemed that it wasn't part of the same thing, that it was some strange package.
In a restaurant, there was also a backpack that they didn't know who it belonged to, and that caused another scare.
This is not the modus operandi of this particular whoever's doing it. I mean, they sent these envelopes out, and they all look exactly alike, okay? But that doesn't mean that copycats aren't going to come along, and copycats who are far more dangerous than the guy who built these bombs, which weren't all that effective because a lot of them didn't blow up.
And there was explosive in it, but there was also some sort of inert powder that was harmless.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that these, what these were meant to do was these were meant to terrorize people, and sure enough, I mean, it terrorized
people.
It did a good job of terrorizing people, and well, it should, and it's kind of sad, that we live in a time where this kind of thing happens, and that we can't just have an election and have people in good spirits, make their case and have a good, healthy election. We don't have healthy elections anymore. They're sick.
Do you think that this is possibly more Russian interference?
No.
Why? Because they used American postage?
I don't think it's Russian interference. This is not what they do. This is not the kind of scenario that they're far more covert about it. They want you to feel that Donald Trump won the election fair and square and that they had no meddling in it, and that's why they do it covertly. They're not going to do something which is so obvious. All I'm saying is, you could say there was the possibility that Trump had people send these bombs out. Because these were all people, by the way, who've been critical of Trump.
Yeah, that's why I wonder if, you see, what the Russians are trying to do is they're trying to sow discord in our election process. And so, 1 minute
I'm not going to discount your possibility, but I'm going to say that I don't think it is possible because it's not the way the Russians have operated. It's not been the way they've done this stuff. They have other more covert ways of doing it where you don't even see what's happening.
Yeah, but this one gained. It was there's only a couple of weeks left to the midterms, and this one certainly created some issues amongst the voters. Yeah, but
the question is, who does? And this is a good question. I ask all of you this question, Brian and Jeff, because it shouldn't just be a show of you and I. Who is going to benefit from this thing happening? Is it going to be that the Democrats are going to go, hey, you tried to bomb Obama, I'm going to make sure I go to the polls? Or is it going to hurt the Democrats? Who's it going to help? Who's it going to hurt? Yeah. And so then you have to ask, would it be the Russians? Because who do they want to help? Yes, Jeff.
Well, it's very hard for me to understand what the Russians want to do, but if there was anybody who would benefit from this, it's probably going to be Trump, because he's looking to show that there's problems against Democrats.
Yeah, but he's been for weeks. He's been harping on the fact that the Democrats are a mob, and that they're out to do violence, and yet it is very obvious that whatever violence is happening right now, these bombs probably came from the right. Well,
that's good enough for him.
Huh?
I think
that's good enough for him to make a negative.
I think we're missing the point. I don't think the Russians really cared who got elected as long as it caused discord. Now, by Trump getting elected, what they've done is they've split the country in half. Now, this new round of things, these terror things, where no one got killed but everybody's scared. Now if it goes in the Democrats' favor, all it does is continue to cause discord. I don't think that they really cared who got elected as long as they divided the country. And the one that would divide the country the most was Trump, because if Hillary got elected, yeah, there'd be some stalemate in the Congress and so forth. But the Republicans wouldn't have done to Hillary what the Democrats are doing.
I'm not sitting here saying that I think that Trump had somebody send out these bombs, but there's always that possibility. Just like there's always the possibility that the Prince of Saudi Arabia asked for Khashoggi to be murdered. Oh no, he wouldn't do that. Well, people who are in power are capable of anything because we don't know them well enough. And no matter what you think of Donald Trump, you don't know him well enough.
But the Russians, if they helped Trump to get elected, the only thing that they were looking to do was to be divisive. And it worked. Mm-hmm. And so if you turn around and say, well, now there's another election and they want to cause as much discord as possible, this is working.
Yeah, right.
And, hey, how you doing?
I don't see him yet. He hasn't shown up on our show. There he is. Okay. But all I'm saying is that and I don't know if Trump had anything to do with it. He probably had nothing to do with it. But there's always that small possibility, okay? Because I don't trust the man, and I think he's capable of anything. All right? Because I think he's a totally dishonest human being, has been all his life. Why should he stop now?
So did you send them out, Alex?
Yeah, right. I sent those. I admit it. I sent those bombs out.
Most of them came out of New York.
No, they didn't. They came out of Florida.
Well, they were returned.
No, they came out of Florida, they believe. They seem to be tracking all the deliveries to post offices and to postal centers and so on to the Florida area.
Ted Kaczynski, they said, actually, when he did this type of stuff, went to
first
to San Francisco.
First of all, the bombs worked. Okay, so you got to hand it to Ted.
Smart guy.
You got to hand it to Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
He made him work. So yeah.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Oh, I'm in a fucking foul mood.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy, joy. Yeah.
Well, you should take what Alex takes.
Yeah.
Why are you such a bad Alex? I need it.
Yeah.
It's called gabapentin,
why are you in such a foul mood?
You don't need it.
Everything we get on the mainstream news is utter crock of bullshit. I'm sorry. There's this focus on the bombs, and yet we're not focusing on U.S. bombing of innocent, supporting the war in Yemen. Kids are starving, dying.
Yeah, but you got to remember. You got to remember something, John. The American public has a short attention span and can only follow one story at a time. And so, therefore, you could all of a sudden, you could say, with all this bombing, what happened to all those 7,000 people coming up from South America? They're still coming up from South America, but somehow today we haven't been reporting on that.
Yeah.
I know what's happening. They're saying that the Mexicans are giving them jobs and they're staying in Mexico. That's what's happened to a lot of the Caribbean.
Well, we'll see how many wind up getting here, but that would be very nice if true. Okay.
That's what the news is reporting.
Yeah.
And now what Phil just said wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, getting back to the news, I think it's all a distraction. There's other things going on that affect all of us that is not being reported, and that is related to economics. That's related to the financial scam that is Wall Street and this phony trade war of Trump, which is really a currency war. It's not about trade. It's about devaluing the currency of China. And China's screwed, and they're holding major treasuries, dollars in U.S. And, just this whole Trump war, is such a phony damn thing. And I see all the main headlines as a diversion from
John,
the real shit that's going down.
Are we paying
a recession is on a big recession, bigger than '08, is on the horizon, and it's going to hit us.
Yes.
John, are we paying the Chinese back in yuan or in dollars?
In yuan. They're called yuan, Phil.
Oh.
A renminbi, whatever you want to call it,
RMB is the other
term. Because I wonder,
yeah.
why would he want to devalue the yuan?
No, he's too stupid. He's too stupid to see it that way. He's pandering to base instincts of a segment of ignorant Americans. I don't include you in that, Phil, but where are
please
the
include him in
where
that.
It's just that if we're paying back the debt in dollars, it doesn't make any sense. And then if they devalue,
we're not paying any.
We're not
debt.
paying any debt
back.
Increasing
the debt.
We keep increasing it.
But let's say we buy Chinese product, and if their value of their currency is cheaper, then their product will be cheaper here in comparison to U.S. dollars. So it just makes sense for them. That's the problem that Trump is having with these guys, is that they're keeping the value of the yuan lower than it is to influence our market.
I don't know. I think it's, I think it's the burden of the problem is on the U.S., not on China. I mean, China, we buy tremendous amount, trillions of dollars worth of shit from them. And look at Apple. Apple is now worth $1 trillion fucking dollars. When has a U.S. company ever? Yeah, same with Amazon. And most of the iPhone products are made in China. So, I mean, if we want to start screwing around with China, we're just calling down horrendous shit that's going to affect us. And we're already seeing that happen in the U.S. markets.
By the way, we've been joined by the man in the dark, who happens to be the voice of Gabnet, Rob Alfano. Hello, Rob.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
You been listening to our little discussion, or are you just joining in here?
Yeah, I've been listening.
Yeah.
I actually fell asleep waiting, and then I'm like, oh.
Oh, you fell asleep during my monologue, is what you're saying.
Actually, I listened to your whole monologue and fell asleep right at the very end.
Oh, okay. All right.
When I started talking.
It's okay, man.
I just all of a sudden, it's been a really, really busy week. I just got back from Orlando last night.
Why don't you, can you kind of get that light away from the picture? Maybe we'll get you a little more view.
You know what? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to. This is my Mac, and I have no idea how to adjust the camera on a Mac.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Take the
Just
angle.
Get a flashlight.
No, I know that, but see, it's no different.
Oh, you
right?
see, yeah. It's fat. It's set.
He just doesn't have enough light.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to adjust the camera on a Mac.
Well, let's think of him this evening as film noir. Okay.
Film noir. There you go.
Hey, Phil, don't forget November 10th, Dragon House.
Yeah, absolutely. Kezar.
Why don't you call each other about stuff like that? This is not a telephone.
He's plugging the event.
Come on, everybody plugs shit, man. This is good. I'd rather watch fighters pound each other than the stupid
anyway,
idiot
let me get back
bullshit
to Rob. So Rob, you've been working your ass off, right?
Just been really busy. Yeah. Flew out to Orlando on Monday morning, and 2.5 days of busy conference, and then flew home last night.
And when you asked in Orlando what time it was, probably somebody said,
"It's 10:54. Good night, pal."
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, Rob, you were in Florida?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you mail anything when you were there?
I wasn't in Miami.
It's a short drive.
Yeah.
14 hours.
I heard there were 2 bombs at Maxine Waters' office.
No, it was Who got 2 bombs?
They're all fake bombs. They're not detonatable bombs.
They are detonatable.
Bullshit bombs.
Well, even the alarm clock
hold
that
on
they
a
had in
second.
there
Hold on a
didn't
second.
have the alarm function.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
The bombs were explodable. They exploded one of them.
The CNN
well,
bomb.
there was, but the set-off mechanism.
The
was
set-off,
fun-
yeah. Well, I mean, it could have been that the guy didn't do a good job of making a bomb that would go off. But what I'm saying is, and there was no reason for a clock to be in there because you don't know how long the mail's going to take to get to CNN.
Yeah.
Hell.
Yeah.
You know.
See, that makes it a fake bomb.
Well, it's not. It's
to
no,
give it some validity,
no.
they have to
It
put
was not
PET or some kind of explosive.
John, it was not a fake bomb. It was a bomb that was incapable of going off, but it wasn't a fake bomb because they took the one that went to Soros's place and they took it out into a field or whatever and they detonated it and it blew up.
Yeah, of course. If you put an explosive in a fake
no,
bomb,
they didn't
will
put
blow
an
up.
explosive in it,
A
John.
fake bomb is
John,
a bomb
they
that's
didn't
not
put it.
designed to blow up.
John, listen
Alex,
to me.
They blow it up
Listen
on
to
purpose.
me. No, they didn't use an explosive to blow it up.
How could they blow it up?
They detonated it.
Did you know that flour is an explosive? You can go to
Jesus
Safeway.
Christ,
or
you people are
any
driving me
supermarket and buy
fucking
flour.
crazy. Don't you fucking know that they exploded it? They detonated it because they wanted to.
I'm agreeing with that, but it's a fake.
What are you giving me with flowers? That you can detonate stuff with flour?
Yes,
Fuck that.
flour,
Who
it
cares?
becomes an
Who
explosive
cares?
if
Who
you
gives a
aerosol
Who
it.
gives
If you
a shit,
atomize
John?
it and
That's
you
not
atomite it,
that's not germane to the conversation we're having. What, Brian?
I said, and your asshole can be a makeshift flamethrower if you fart into a lit match.
That's correct. That's right.
Hey,
Thank you,
Brian, as you get older, you'll learn never to trust a fart.
Oh, I already do that now. Especially after I
Believe me, my wife has been on some kind of laxative her doctor has given her, and she farts so much. I swear to you, she has hurt the ozone layer. Okay.
You can bottle that stuff and sell it on the internet. Yeah. I'd buy a bottle of her fart gas.
But it doesn't matter whether
I'd pay $20.
It doesn't matter whether a bomb went off or not. It's still terrorism because it was sent to terrorize people.
That's how the Sultan of Brunei made his money.
See, if I was going to terrorize the Democratic Party, I'd send them fart gas bombs, not gunpowder bombs.
No, the fart joke was 2 jokes ago. Anyway.
Well, no, if I wanted to terrorize the Democratic Party people, I'd send them signatures of about 100,000 people advocating for universal health care. That's how scared the shit out of the Democratic
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, man.
Or term limits.
Or that even. Oh, absolutely.
All these fuckers need term limits.
Yeah. What was your take on the bombs, Rob, or didn't you care?
I'm just flabbergasted by this society that we live in, and I'm Mr. Negativity. I just think that we're just nearing the end of this whatever we have left of this country is gone, and it's I don't care what you say, Phil. It's just pretty. We need a president to be a president, not to do what Donald Trump is doing. You can say all you want. Yes, he was not responsible for those bombs going off, but it's some damn coincidence that every one of the people on that list of who got them were people who were up against Trump.
Wait a minute, hold on a second, Phil. Good point, Rob, because if you wanted to say that Donald Trump has an enemies list, and you were to say who would be on that list,
right?
The people who are the targets of these bombs would be on that list.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about negativity, Rob, is that, no matter how bad things are, whether it's Trump or Maxine Waters or any of these things, nothing stays bad forever. There's ups and downs. It's been that way for thousands of years, and it will continue to be that way.
I disagree with you.
I disagree with you, too.
I disagree with you. We are eroding the hell out of everything that we held dear in this country.
You could read a newspaper from 150 years ago.
Phil, when this election took place and Donald Trump won and everybody was going apoplectic, I think even Patrick here, who tries to be reasonable, will agree that I kind of took this position about, the wonderful thing about America is nobody can ruin it. Not one person can be elected to office and ruin it. Maybe they can set us back for a couple of years, but after the next guy gets in,
can't be.
Well, but wait a minute. But I have a different opinion now.
Well, I look at life.
Wait a minute. What's your opinion now, Alex? What's your opinion now?
My opinion now is that there's been some unalterable moves in this with this administration that are going to come back to bite America in the ass for the next 50 years. For the next 50 years, if we don't turn it around soon.
How do you turn it around? Well, how do you fix the Supreme Court? Yeah. It's forever tainted.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You see this, Boston? This is what you got to do in this country. And I'm not talking about the Red Sox. I'm talking about Lexington Green. That's what we need in this fucking country.
You're referencing the Tea Party.
No, yeah, the real Tea Party, not the dumb shits that took
Patrick has called. Patrick, what are some of your opinions on all of this?
Nobody wants my opinion on this.
I want your opinion because
I heard you screaming at Phil last night about whataboutism, and I'm not going to take that. So I'm just going to sit here, and I'm interested in taking in the conversation, not to add to it. All I have is whataboutisms, apparently. So,
well, I don't know that your stuff. I don't remember it as being much about whataboutisms. In other words, yours was always kind of like. Let me put it this way: I consider you a reasonable conservative.
Yeah, but I agree with what Phil was saying last night. Yeah. So therefore, I'm automatically not reasonable because I look at what Maxine Waters has said and what Hillary Clinton has said very recently about getting
and Pelosi.
Phil. And
he doesn't need your help, Phil.
All you guys want is to say whataboutism. Well, you know what? I will concede this. Trump did indeed start this, but did the Democrats have to follow up and play, well, we're going to get in everybody's face too, and then I don't want to hear anybody bitching about what happened, because whether it was some goof-ass Democrat that's trying to make attention or a right-wing nut, he's a terrorist or she's a terrorist or the group is a terrorist group, period. End of story. And I don't give a shit who it is. And both sides are to blame. And I don't want to hear somebody say, no, both sides aren't to blame, because Maxine Waters was telling all of her people at the gasoline station that this, that, get in their face. Hillary was reiterating deplorables and that we can't get along with anybody until the administration changed. Well, you know what? You got it on your side. We got it on our side. It's the same fucking problem. And you know what? Nobody's right.
Well, you know something, Patrick? In a way, you're right, but in a way, I don't agree with you. Here's where I don't agree with you. I think that what Maxine Waters was calling for was something I've often said is important, that if you see a politician someplace and you're in a place where that person is, this is a very public person who votes on things for you, and that you should let them know how you feel about what they're doing. And they should feel that, you know, that they have to answer to their very constituency. And that you know it's important, and I think that's essentially what Maxine Waters was saying.
No.
Don't shut. No, what do you mean? No, you're reading it like you want to read it, Phil.
No, you got to have civility. There's nothing wrong with telling your representatives how you feel, but there's one way of doing it and another way of doing it, and they're not. And the civility has gone out the door on both sides.
65% of the American people want Medicare for all, and no fucking Democrat or Republican is in favor of that.
No,
the DNC
it's not.
Just came out opposed to Medicare for all. So fuck them. I'm an equal opportunity hater. I hate the Democrats and the Republicans, and I think we need something different in this country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait a minute, hold on a second. Okay, hold on. Some people have had their hands up.
I know him personally.
Yeah.
Now. I get along with this guy.
Yeah,
That
I agree with
we have
you.
to
Like
do.
40% of the time.
Well,
fighting each other.
somebody has to, Paul. But let me go to Rob's had his hand up.
So my big problem I agree with a lot of what you said, Patrick, but here's my problem. And I've never, look, I rarely agree with the conservative point of view. There are times when I feel that I'm not as left on certain issues, but my big problem is we have a president who doesn't take the moment to be presidential when stuff like this happens. And that's my problem. And you do not have Republicans who want to stand up and check this guy.
Right.
So that's my big fear.
Yeah, the Republicans are kiss asses.
They're
not. It's not up to them to check them. It's up to the people to vote them out.
We have three.
It's up to the,
Hold
it's
on,
up to the
Phil.
people to vote them out.
We can't vote them out when you're doing dirty tricks and gerrymandering.
Right. We have three parts of the government, and they're equal.
You know what?
And they're supposed to have a checks and balance against each other. They don't work. Trump thinks they work for him.
Yeah, that's true.
They are. This is why I despise this man and everything that comes out of his mouth. I don't care. He has everything is a means to an end with him. He couldn't come out and say anything about these bombs because it didn't politically fit his position, so he has to ignore it. And he could have taken that rally last night instead of blaming the media, and blamed himself.
Good point.
But the rally
okay. Now wait a minute. Hold on a second.
reason.
There are people with their hands up here. Okay.
All right.
So let me go to Tony and then to Patrick.
Yeah. I was really thinking about this, like the whole thing, the bad vibes with the whole country. And I'm going to roll this whole clock back. I think, I don't want to sound like negative, but I really think, as a person 49 years old, I think the country went down the shitter after the 70s. I think Abby Hoffman had it right. I watched a documentary with Marx. You know what he said? He said the only time you get change is
You're
if
wrong.
you do something.
You're wrong, Tony.
Yeah, right.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Kennedy,
Hold on a
Sean.
second. You're wrong, Tony. This country has had its problems long before that. You weren't around in the 50s for the McCarthy hearings and for the House Un-American Activities
But I don't feel like I've gotten my tax worth.
Wait a minute.
since I've
Hold
been
on a
born.
second. Let me finish. You weren't around for that, and I saw a very ugly time back then. It was horrible. It was disgusting.
I'll give you that, but here's the question, though. I can't elaborate on it because I didn't live. But look how I'm living. Look at this. They don't want to raise minimum wage. They don't want to do anything. The Democrats seem like they only want to wave the flag when it benefits them to get back in power. We have Trump. You know what? You're right. I can't elaborate on something because I wasn't born. But you know what I think the people are saying? I'm tired of this shit.
Right.
That's why Trump was elected to begin with.
Yeah. Okay.
We're tired of it.
Patrick's had his hand up now for a while. I don't want him to lose it.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Rob with the thing that not taking responsibility. One of the things that did bother me yesterday with his initial statement, when he was still at the White House, not at the I didn't see any of the rally. But one thing that I thought was very off-putting and very unpresidential is his remarks stated high-level current and former officials. He didn't even have the courtesy to name the former president, Clinton, Obama, or the former Secretary of State, Clinton. The other people, John Bennett, who gives a fuck? Eric Holder, nobody gives a shit. But at least those three people should have been named out of respect, or even Hillary didn't have to be. How about just Obama and Clinton, the presidents? And that's what I found off-putting with that, and very unpresidential and I would say ungentlemanly, like, regardless of office that you're holding. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the president, and his words count.
I mean, he does.
And he's giving people permissions to act out.
Well, that's what my argument was
last
like
night,
Rob. Wait a minute. Hold on a
that
second,
piece of
John.
shit.
Let me finish what I'm saying. I said this last night, and Phil took umbrage with me on it, but I said the one thing you don't do, your job as president, your number one job is to keep Americans safe. And when you put them in harm's way by giving people a sense of permission for their bad actions and for actions that might hurt other people, then you're not being presidential and you're not doing the job you're supposed to be doing. Yes, Phil?
There's one thing that Trump isn't, and that's presidential. He doesn't fit that mold. You know, that's just not him. He's a hoodlum from Queens with a lot of money. He got elected. He's the president. The agenda that he had, I agree with. The way he goes about putting his agenda forward, granted, it pisses off a lot of people. I don't like it, but I wish that, you know, he, once elected, would have changed his way of doing business, but he didn't. If he doesn't get elected next time, it would be poor for the country, because I think he's doing a good thing for the economy and our position in the world.
Really? How much money have you? Well, you don't have stock. I've lost a couple of $1,000 already because of this moron.
But my business has increased.
Well, no, I don't give a shit about that, because as a person,
that's how I make my living.
No, but I don't give a shit about that, because my way I earn a living is I have stocks. And when I
guess you picked the wrong way to earn a living.
In your old age, that's the kind of living you pick, because you don't get jobs any longer, Phil.
Well, you could have bought an annuity.
What do you think? What do you think I have? But I have stock. The stock. Those are my.
You had the right idea.
I have stocks. Those are my annuities. And in the last couple of weeks, between my stock in Sirius and my Vanguard stock, I've lost close to $3,000.
Do you gamble, Alex?
No.
Well, what do you think the stock market is?
The stock market is.
What do you think my mattress is, Phil? Something that could burn down in a fire. Something that could burn down in a fire. You know, there are very little things you can do with your money except just put it in a bank, which is a waste of time.
Well, if you would have bought real estate, like I told you in 1980,
I didn't. But all I'm saying is I've lost many thousands of dollars in the last couple of months. And the president goes, "Oh, our economy's terrific." No, it's not. The stock market is fucking tanking, Phil.
That's Hey,
it's gone down. It's gone down almost 2,000 points in the last 2 weeks.
And I've lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and gained hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate. You know, it's all about timing. You get in, you get out. It's about timing.
I don't do that. I put my money somewhere where it can build. That's it.
Well,
you know.
Phil, look at The Big Short. Excellent film, The Big Short. You know, where these fucking bastards make money on people losing their homes. You know, that's what real estate.
Patrick has his hand up.
One thing I did want to add to what Phil said is, regardless of whether any of us voted for Donald Trump or not, he is our president. And I find it hilarious when people say, "not my president," because my response is always, do you live in this country? Are you a citizen of this country? If you are, he is your president. Because Obama, I didn't vote for him yet. I referred to him as the president and my president because I live in this fucking country. Like him or not, he's your president.
Hey, well, Jeff Davis didn't think Lincoln was their president, and like 14 southern states didn't think Lincoln was their president, and this fucking guy is not my president. Well, you know, that's
here. Let me say.
You know what, Phil? It's Patrick. That's a kind of a play on words in a way. Yes, he's the president of the United States, but there is nothing about Donald Trump that represents me and what I stand for and what I believe. So it's sort of it's a speak. He is not my president. He doesn't represent anything. If I think black, he thinks white. If I think left, he thinks right. There is nothing about Donald Trump that I respect.
Well, also, if I
have,
this is
what I mean. Yes, I know he's the president of the United States, and I live in this country.
If I have somebody I know who is morally reprehensible, I'm not going to hang out with that
Thank
person.
you. Thank you.
And I'm not going to
You
respect
gotta earn
that
respect.
person. Exactly.
And he doesn't earn it even when shit goes bad, like last night, when he could have gotten on that stage and he could have been somber and said, you know what, maybe there's too much rhetoric going on, and I'm guilty of it as well. The media is guilty of it.
He's incapable of any kind of introspection.
Exactly.
This guy is such a fucking narcissist.
Exactly.
He's a psychopath and a narcissist.
Exactly. And that's why I have never despised the president. George Bush, no other president, but I despise this.
I would ask Patrick if he feels he's a narcissist or he's a this or he's a that, and but it's already been established that Patrick was not a person who voted for Donald Trump. He's a conservative.
He was eat shit. He said if
he would rather eat shit first.
Like
that.
But you know
his own scat.
Can I say one thing though?
Yeah, sure, Tony.
To back up Patrick, which I agree with Patrick. And I'm not, I search Facebook, and I don't like Trump. I don't even know the guy, but I can see he's an asshole. But whatever the case is. But let's be honest. How well do we know Hillary Clinton and Obama?
Well, Clinton's an asshole.
Hey, listen. If you listen to this program for any amount of time, and I think Patrick will agree with this, I was no fan of Hillary Clinton's. And in fact, when he was president, I was somewhat critical of Obama because I didn't feel he was tough enough.
I remember on Sirius you being that way, Alex.
Yeah.
Can I pose a question?
You talking to Christina?
If you look at social media, I glance at it. You don't think there's people out there who hate Trump just to push their own agenda to make some cash?
No,
because it's involved.
No. I think there's a genuine disdain against Trump, and I think that it isn't the Trump today. It goes back to the Trump in New York. It's the Trump of the Central Park. Yeah, the Central Park 5 or 7 or what? How many were they? 9. 5. Central Park 5, in which he took out full-page ads saying, let's bring back the death penalty to kill these guys. And they hadn't even gone on trial yet. And now he's sitting there going, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, when it comes to Russia, you shouldn't be guilty until proven so. Well, then what was he doing taking out ads asking for these guys to be lynched? So this guy's assholeness goes way back.
Right.
The fact that he
wouldn't just don't get
the fact that his father wouldn't rent to Puerto Ricans, and I think he had certain things on his properties where you couldn't rent to blacks, and this guy was always a douchebag. He was known as a douchebag. His hero was Roy Cohn, who was the world's biggest douchebag.
And Roy Cohn was his attorney. Roy Cohn was his attorney when he tried to get into the NFL.
The NFL, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's a nice guy, but what I'm trying to say is, I think since he's been in, I think there's on both sides. You could see. I don't care what.
I agree with you.
Look. You could blame both sides, but I think he has brought a lot of this out in his opponents, because the vitriol he spews against them gets them angry.
Why do you think CNN comes out against him?
Why do you ask that question again, Rob? Because
why do you think CNN attacks him the way they do? Because no other president has ever attacked one news. He couldn't even mention CNN yesterday getting the bomb.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I know. It's interesting. I'll tell you that, though.
Oh, it's interesting.
I don't know what to believe with the media anymore, to tell you the truth.
Well, no,
Italy pushes agenda.
Italy had their version of Trump. Silvio Berlusconi.
Yeah. Oh no, they had their version of Trump. He was called Mussolini.
I heard.
Yeah.
Trump reminds me very much of Mussolini. The way he stands there, the way he folds his arms, the whole thing. Yep. There we go. You could either be doing Trump or doing Mussolini. I can't tell.
See, I kind of agree with Patrick, though. I think people really are just I think Patrick's onto something. I think people just don't want to show any respect to anything.
I think there's
but the respect is earned. That the Democrats are a pile of shit too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of like. I don't
One
trust.
organ from the other.
I
let me ask you this.
don't,
Here's a
John.
question.
I'll have to. Hold on a second, Rob. I'll disagree with you on that, John. I think that the Democrats are less douchebags than the Republicans on a whole.
Well,
Right,
let's
how much
hope,
of a mark
let's
in it?
hope Beto O'Rourke beats that dumb shit Cruz in Texas. Let's see how that goes. You know,
Not gonna
Beto
happen.
O'Rourke is.
I mean, Ted Kennedy.
Well, he's
It-
running really.
It's very close, Phil. It's very
Yeah.
close.
It's very.
And it's going to be.
Was
It's
about
one of
6
those
points.
It's one of those races that we don't know how it's going to turn out till it's been counted.
Can I say? Here's a perfect example. You ready for this?
What?
The Democrats lauded Ted Kennedy. He left the woman to drown to death and went home to sleep.
That's
and
right.
they make it like he's a hero.
Yeah,
You're right.
exactly. Right.
It's bizarre. They hate Trump. This guy left it to die.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, how about this theory, Tony, that you probably didn't hear?
What?
That Ted Kennedy
He was
didn't even
drunk.
know she was in the back of the car. That he was in the car with another woman, and she got out and he got out, but they didn't know she was asleep, drunk in the back seat of the car.
I mean, and he still.
So
never
now,
heard
if
that.
that's the
Very
case,
true.
wait a minute. If that's the case, Tony, now what do you think of Ted Kennedy?
Yeah, but I don't know what's
Okay,
right.
okay.
What's
So what
the
you're
deal with
doing is you're
Florida?
spewing rumors. The
Ted
fact,
was
But he
banging
still doesn't look good, though.
huh?
He doesn't look like a good guy.
Well, no, I mean, but it wasn't like he knew that somebody was
Oh, I'm
left
not
in the
saying
back
he's
seat
the
of the
devil,
car.
but
The
does
argument
look like he's a
is
Yeah,
stand-up.
at least when Democrats are piles of shit, they still manage to do good things. Kennedy looked out for the elderly. Lyndon Johnson helped kill 60,000 Americans in Vietnam, and yet the guy gave us Medicare and Medicaid. So
Somebody had
you
killed-
can't. It's not just a black and white thing.
Exactly.
I mean, but the Republicans are just completely eroding any kind of social contract that Democrats have set up for the benefit of the people.
Nixon gave us the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
He gave Nixon gave us the EPA too. Nixon did a lot of good things, except not for Vietnam.
He
not
opened
for
up China.
Fucking over Chile.
He opened up China.
Yeah.
Which,
Well,
by the way,
yeah,
no
not a good thing, though.
Democrat could have done
Yeah, I was
that.
thinking the same thing. Is that really a good thing that he opened up China?
China.
Well,
Really?
the fact was he could have never
Well,
opened up a.
Target and Walmart. Are
I'm
gonna say
sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry. What the fuck can be built? And and this is why, short-term pain. I don't know how short. I don't know how long short-term is defined as far as lowering stock value and whatnot with these tariffs. But what the fuck can be built in Beijing that's so much more beneficial that can't be built in Birmingham or Pittsburgh or fucking wherever Rob lives in Virginia?
Slave labor.
Slave
That's what
labor.
they
Yeah,
got.
they don't want to pay anybody.
No, well, to begin with, China has a big competitor in that field of manufacture, and that's India.
Only because we allow them to be.
You forget about that. India is very big into manufacturing.
And we allow them to be,
and
too.
they do have a cheaper workforce. There's no question about that, and that's one of the reasons they can. But they're also jobs that, oddly enough, as much as we say we'd like to bring them back to America, that Americans don't want to do. Americans would go crazy on an assembly line now.
That's because we've been generationally conditioned to not like that. But there are people,
Yeah.
a lot of
But
people
what
I
I'm
know
saying
personally who just aren't built genetically speaking, to be service sector
the biggest
oriented.
company in
true.
China that does this manufacturing. I'm trying to remember
What's
their
that,
name
Rob?
now. Wait a minute.
That's true what you said.
No,
That's
but
true. I
People-
agree with
some
you.
people aren't built to be salesmen.
what I'm saying though is that in China, the biggest company that's over there building stuff. I'm trying to remember the name of the company now. Foxconn is building a plant, or supposed to be building a plant in the United States. The president had the Foxconn guy there, and they went, "Oh, we're going to build this big plant." Blah blah. We don't see any sign of it being built.
Yeah,
Right.
Because
Right.
they know damn
Proves
well
my
that they
point all the
can
more.
open up a plant with 5,000 people. The 5,000 people are going to work in, and 5,000 people won't show up. Yes.
Well, I have to
wait a
take
minute.
you
Wait a
back.
minute.
You know what?
Wait a minute.
Then how do you
Patrick.
explain Amazon
Patrick
and
has his
the
hand up.
500,000
Patrick
people?
has his hand up. Yes, Patrick.
Foxconn is being built right now. It's just about a half hour away from me, south, and they've already cleared most of the area for the building to go up. They've got a few walls up for one of the buildings, so it is getting built. But that's not why I had my hand up. wanted to agree with Brian that, you know, the thing is, we, in the last 20 or 30 years, have been sending our kids to college for white-collar jobs because
myself included.
that's where everything was going to be. Everything's white-collar, everything's white-collar. And what we're not doing, and maybe we are a little bit more now because the white-collar jobs aren't really there, we need to send kids, or at least encourage our kids, to go to tech school to pick up that sort of skill because, yes, sitting on an assembly line sucks, but all of our ancestors, well, maybe not all of ours, but we've had people in our families that did that were sitting on a bottling line or whatever, and they made a good living at it. Right. They were able to raise a family and buy a house. And the thing is, like for me personally, I would never able to do manual labor because of my different physical issues I've had. So I went to college for white-collar work, but I'm out of work. And I'll be damned, I wish that I could do some of that blue-collar stuff, working in a factory, working here, but it's not safe. You know, I mean, in my position.
Right.
But Brian's right with that we're conditioned now for the last however many decades.
30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
John and I.
Wait a minute. John had his hand up first. Wait a minute.
You know, it may suck to sit on an assembly line. I would have finished what Patrick was just saying. It may suck to sit on an assembly line, but it sucks even worse to have to resort to cooking meth in a trailer park or living in a cardboard box under a fucking bridge somewhere.
Hey, it's not just assembly line work. I'm in construction. I've been in construction for 40 years. And it gives you a good living. I'm happy to say in Marin County, where I live, the junior colleges are now partnering with some labor unions that are teaching trades in the junior college system. So they're getting onto this. They're realizing what you're saying, Patrick. And I make a good living as a construction worker. I've been able to buy a house in Marin. You can't do that anymore now.
Right.
So it's not just assembly line work. There are a lot of service sector jobs that are worthy. I got 2 college degrees too. And what am I doing? I'm working in construction. That's where I make my best money.
Yeah. Yes, Phil.
Yeah. John and I are both in the trades. I've been in the trades for over 40 years myself. And even though physically I'm not actually doing the work anymore, I'm still an integral part of the trades. And it's because of my trade experience that I'm able to do what I do now. And, you know, not like John was saying, not everybody is on an assembly line when they're blue collar. John creates stuff. I see what he does. He's an artist. And, you know, even though I sell the middle of the road kind of stuff, I'm still making people's homes beautiful.
But none of you, John and Phil, are in a business which is repetitive work.
I do the same thing.
No. But you're in a different house. It's a different size rug. What we're talking about is, wait a minute, on an assembly line, you're putting in a dome light. And then you're putting in the next dome light. And you're putting in the next dome light.
Would you rather do that, Alex, or would you rather, like I said before, cook meth in a trailer park and get arrested and serve a fucking life sentence, or live in a cardboard box under a bridge?
Well, I'm not going to cook meth, so I did the second best thing. I went into radio. Yeah.
What were you saying, Alex? You walked on.
Because Phil wasn't listening. No, I don't cook meth. I chose another. I chose to go into broadcasting instead.
But that's you though. But I'm talking about the rest of them.
I've had your macaroni and cheese, and you should cook.
Hey, there's the gig economy too. There's Uber drivers, Airbnb hosts. There's another whole job sector out there that's not just repetitive skills. And by the way, those repetitive skills are done by thousands and tens of thousands of Walmart workers, Amazon workers in warehouses. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that China has been able to do it because they have a whole population that's dying for jobs like that, because they live out in the country and their families are poor, and they want to give them a better life. And these companies like Foxconn, even though they don't pay that great, even though they're not considered great payers, they give them enough money that they can help their families.
Alex, I don't deny them a better life, but not at the expense of American jobs.
But you see, you don't understand, Phil, that the world has changed, and the job the job of those countries has become being the manufacturing countries. We have turned into something else altogether, and we have yet to adopt. We have yet to adapt. We've yet. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Let me finish. We have yet to adapt to that. We're not a manufacturing country anymore. That's what we once were back prior to the 50s. After the 50s, we matriculated into something else to what we are today. Who knows what that is? But it's not. We don't manufacture any longer. We create. We send. And it's a world economy now, too. It's like you didn't used to go to China to get something built because it was too expensive to bring it over here now. Hell, I order a Mac Mini, and where's it being shipped from? It's being shipped from
Walnut Creek,
Malaysia, from Shanghai, and I'm going. Well, how long is this going to fucking take to get here? And before I know it, 4 or 5 days later, it's at my front door, and I can see where it's gone to Alaska, and it's gone to here and to there.
Low government oversight.
But that's because we're a world economy now. We have to learn how to work within that framework and to be competitive in that framework. And
there's plenty of other stuff besides putting in a dome light that people can do, create, and make stuff. And, but our economy has become a service economy rather than an economy that makes stuff. In the triangle of trade,
yes, but what I'm saying, Phil,
all three legs.
The world changes. The world changes, and we have changed as a country as to what our position economically in that world is.
Well, it used to be buggy whips, and now it's something else. I mean, the products change, but people still have needs.
I mean, you talk about Amazon warehouses employing these thousands upon thousands of people. That really is part of our new economy, are the Amazons of the world, okay? An idea that was made in the computer world and has then extended to give jobs to people to fulfill the needs of those businesses. Yes, Patrick.
Just remember this: what you were saying, Alex. If everything's changing, and there is a good possibility that if like John was saying, some of the tech schools are pairing up with unions or
community colleges.
Right. We may never reach where we were in the past at manufacturing and at doing manual labor sort of stuff. But I think with the white collar stuff drying up and becoming more automated, you're not going to have a machine build a house anytime soon.
Right.
And I think that we may be able to go back at least a little bit to where we're doing manual labor sort of stuff, whether it's assembly, whether it's what John does, whether it's what Phil does.
Well, you're very right, Patrick, that China can't build you a house.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They can build you a car, but they can't build you a house.
It's going to be a hybrid. I mean, like you said, things change. We won't go back 50, 60, 70 years, but we might be able to go back 30 years.
You ever see manufactured housing that comes in a box? They put it on a rail car. Out it comes. They deliver it to a lot. And 4 days later, it's assembled.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Rob, isn't that what happened with you, with your house? Rob, your hand is up, so I may as well go to you now. Yes, Rob.
My house is assembled in a factory, and it's delivered in sections. It's delivered like all of the 2x4s are nailed together, and then they bring these big cranes in and they stand one wall up, and then they connect all of the they connect the roof, and they lock it down that way. So yeah, they tell you that the reason they do that is because they build a house that's in controlled environment in terms of humidity and all that, the wood and and all that crap. It's a bunch of bullshit. But they build a house extremely quick here. I mean, these houses go up.
But nevertheless, those frames of houses.
You could do that in China.
Yeah, but most of those manufactured homes are built in the U.S., and that's a good thing.
They're all built here, yeah.
And as you look at, you go on an airplane and you fly over any big city, and you look at all the building and everything. This right here. Hands are what built those things, and American workers are what built homes and the high rises.
Okay.
And
Jeff has his hand. Jeff had his hand up first, then Rob. Yes, Jeff.
I feel bad for you because you have to realize that what you're doing is going out of business. And it's just like all kinds of. I used to run a manufacturing.
What do you mean? What? Who's doing?
Well, he was talking about building stuff
okay.
for houses.
Yeah.
Okay, where it's still done by hand, so to speak. The whole hand concept. Anybody who's got any brains knows that they're going to changing it to automate it more and more and more and reduce the hand.
Sorry, man. I work in that industry. That's not true.
I'm watching a building
that is
down
not
the
true.
street.
Well,
I really disagree with you.
Well, wait a minute. But
and you know
Rob,
what? I built.
Yeah, but I work in it every day.
I built medical devices.
Me too.
I built radiators. And a lot of that stuff, which used to be done by thousands of people, are done by tens of people.
That stuff.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Yeah.
And you got to understand, that's the way the thing's going.
Rob?
Think back to this country back in the day when it was really coming up. We had big dreams. We built the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
We built the subway systems in New York.
State Highway.
No machine is going to build that.
My point is that we can't do any of that anymore today. Why?
You know what's really funny?
Oh, come on.
My friend owns the company
that
dug the tunnel under Union Square in San Francisco. And
how long does it take to do the tiniest little piece?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
How many billions of dollars?
Hold on a second. The first subway that was built in New York was the number one. Went from City Hall all the way up to the Bronx. They just dug a ditch. They put tracks down. They covered it up with grating, and there was your subway. I think they built it in a year and a half. They just built the Second Avenue subway, and it goes from 96th Street to 69th Street. Okay, and it took them 5 years or 10 years. I can't remember how long it took them. And if they go further down, it's going to take even longer. All of us will be dead before they're finished with the Second Avenue line. When they built the Empire State Building, you know how long it took them to build that? 1.75 years, I think.
They got it under. They beat their. They got it in under. Faster than they were supposed to.
Yeah, building the same building today, not so easy. Not so easy. Yes, Tim has joined us. Yes, Tim.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I think we're underestimating what can be automated in the future, because the biggest restaurant chain in Indonesia is going to have replaced 5,000 waiters and 5,000 chefs with robots. And we're not talking about a couple years from now. We're talking in the coming year.
I saw that in Vegas. I walked into a bar and there was nobody there. It was all computer arms, and you ordered your drinks, and these computer arms that were spinning around, mixing all the drinks, doing everything. They had a bar in Vegas that was all computerized.
How was the
when those machines break down,
Well,
Who
then there's
comes
a
out and
technician.
fixes
They get
them.
repaired.
And
Yeah, but let me
Yeah, but
ask
Joey,
you this. Let me ask you this question, Rob. How was the drink?
The drink, everything tastes exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because, right, you're not going to get a heavy hand. You're not going to get a guy that's going to pour a little more scotch for you, or, you're going to get an exact mix. And, it tasted fine. But
Tough to
everything's
tell you-
exactly the same.
It's tough to tell your troubles to a robot.
You don't have to tip a robot.
No, they're programmed to talk back. One of the first computer programs was ELIZA or whatever it was used for psychoanalysis.
There was an
One of the first
automatic.
AIs.
There was an automatic bar machine where, when you ordered a drink, they would go over to they would punch it into this machine, and it would pour the perfect amount of alcohol. So they didn't it cheat you, but on the other hand, they didn't give you more than you should get, and it got more booze out of a bottle than a
Right.
bartender. Yeah, they like you, so they give you a little extra.
And you know what?
I remember
And you know,
that
and you know, and you
in
know
New
who
York.
you know who invented that?
Needix.
No, Larry Flint. That's
Really?
how he
Larry
made his
Flint?
That's how he made his first money, was creating and selling those machines.
So I used to DJ at Houlihan's in Roosevelt Field, Long Island, and
I
we
used to rent to them.
we used to have those machines there. When I first started there in 82, 83, whenever it was, they had those machines. Do you know they took them out because they were a negative?
Yeah.
They were
You know-
considered a negative. Everybody was like, "Pfft, yeah, look at these computerized drinks. Nobody's getting a really good drink," and they took them out.
I
Houlihan's
remember
and
going to New York and
Sausalito
eating
was
in
my
an
tenant.
automat.
Yeah. Chock full of nuts or Needix.
Well, Needix didn't serve alcohol.
No, they served hot dogs and hamburgers and sandwiches, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
but Needix,
Just like chock full of nuts.
yeah, but all
Hey, when you have to go to a doctor, you're not going to go to a robot. You're going to want to go to a
yes.
live person.
Well, you're kinda
or a
go-
massage therapist. You're not going to have a robot.
you're
massage
kind of going to a
The
robot now.
Japanese are coming up with these sex bots. And,
Yeah, I know.
and I think that they prefer 'em.
No, but
I disagree on the doctors. I disagree on the doctors because
Yeah, I
they
do
are
too.
using AI for doctoring, and an AI can access every case that's ever been recorded in
Yep.
history, and
Yep.
can find Dr. House type cases and give you better medicine that's fitted for your physique and for your metabolism.
Yeah,
the
well,
AI
I went to a
coming.
chiropractor today, and there's no way any kind of a robot is going to be able to do
Yeah,
it.
and there's no
for
way.
me what my chiropractor did.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I would
Yeah,
never
yeah.
say no way, though.
Yeah.
I
No
would never
way.
say
no,
no
no,
way.
no, no, no. There's something about.
I think you can do what a chiropractor.
the human body.
Wait a minute. Hold
can
on a second. Hold on a second. First of all, Patrick, and then Jeff.
One of the things
Full house.
I agree
Full house.
partially that we'll never get fully automated with medicine. But if you look at any of the shows on television, and I don't mean the dramas, I mean actual on Discovery Channel and that, how many surgeries are being done by a surgeon, but he has his hands on control like a video game.
Eye
and
surgery.
14 different things, and they're scalpel and they're suturing, not by hand, but with the machines. And it still takes a doctor right now, but my guess is in the very near future, there are going to be surgeries that are going to be performed completely by robots, and the only human aspect will be to finalize the sign off or whatever it is.
The bill.
I was going to say that the only
The
the
bill.
only aspect that's going to not be handled by a robot is the sending of the bill. You know?
So I can go to Best Buy and get my colonoscopy.
You know, my prostatectomy was done with robotics. There were six things that went into my abdomen and removed the prostate.
Yeah.
You know, and the doctor was just on the outside with his fingers in some sort of contraption, moving things around.
Yeah, I
You're
love
supposed to leave less of a scar that way.
Yeah,
Suppose
yeah.
Yeah.
quicker recovery time.
Hey, I would rather see live guys in the Dodgers and the Red Sox than fucking robots playing baseball. Sorry.
Yeah. Charlene has joined us. Charlene, something must have been tickling your fancy in this discussion?
Oh, Alex, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, because I just see a black square. I don't know what's going on. But... No, Rob always kind of is very eloquent, more than I am, and he speaks for me sometimes. And what he was saying was nice. And what you said, Alex, I really liked what you said, that, when Phil was talking about, like, manufacturing and all that, like, we don't do that anymore. But I like what you said. We don't really know what we do anymore, right? That's kind of a problem.
Well, we never figured that one out. We do some things. We have done some things very well in the computer industry. I mean, we came up with things like Amazon. We came up with things like Netflix. We've come up with things like iPhones, which have set the tone for the entire smartphone market. I mean, these are things we do. But they're not as tangible. A guy like Trump doesn't know how to deal with that, because Trump comes from an old era where, you sold real estate, right? You built a house, But he doesn't know how to deal with the present economy. He doesn't even know what the present economy is.
Coal.
And that's the problem. Yeah, he wants to go back. Wall. You're right, Rob. Coal. That's the word. And what I heard the other day was this term. Clean coal. Wait a minute.
How do you get the economy?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second, Phil. What the fuck is clean coal? All coal is dirty.
It's just shit that
I
smells like
want to see those guys who work with clean coal who come home every night and don't have to take a shower. I want to see those guys.
Look, what Trump is doing is he's using the resources we have now to get the economy going.
No. What he's doing is he's resuscitating. What he's doing is resuscitating dead economies like the steel industry and the coal industry.
Hey, Wall Street doesn't think the economy's going so well. We've lost everything we gained so far this year.
That's right.
10 months down the drain.
Well, that's the gamble you take.
No, that's what he was bragging about, Phil. That's what he was bragging about.
Alex?
Yes.
Oh, I can't see if my hand is being seen by you. So,
yeah, no. If you hold it up, we'll see it.
I wanted to let you know, I saw the Roger Stone. Who is Roger Stone?
Yeah,
I watched
Roger
it
Stone. Yeah.
This morning. It was really enlightening, and thanks for recommending that, because I think I tried to watch it, but until you explained it, I couldn't sit through all of it. It was amazing. It was good.
What did you think of Roger Stone?
He's kind of an asshole idiot.
But isn't there something fascinating about him?
Yeah, because he's driving politics like today.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the Machiavelli. There's no question about that.
Right.
How about Rasputin? Maybe he's more of a Rasputin.
Yeah, well, that too.
Kind of an evil type guy,
there's something about him that is so off-putting. I almost liked him.
He's like a killer clown. He's the court jester.
Yes, exactly.
You got to hand it to him. He's done amazing things.
Yeah,
he has.
I mean,
but you got a full house.
Yeah, I know we have a full house.
Yeah.
Who didn't want to watch robotic sports? Anybody watch BattleBots? Nobody's watched BattleBots?
No,
they bet on them now.
Years ago, they got robot fighting, and I went to it in San Francisco, and when it first started out. And I just thought, it's fun seeing two machines saw each other in half, but outside of that, I don't give a shit.
Hey, when I was a kid,
I want to see real people saw each other.
Oh, I used to have those.
Yeah.
I want to see real people saw themselves in half. So
what was the name of the movie? Real Steel.
Yeah.
It was a movie about the people that fought with robots.
Yeah. But but Rob, are you happy with the home you're living in? Because it is kind of like a prefab, we could say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I'm very happy here. I love it here.
Because years ago, prefab homes were terrible.
You can't get anything else besides homes built like this today. No builder is building homes with hammers and nails and everything and raw materials sent to sites.
Well,
maybe that's not true.
No,
that's not true. Sorry.
No,
that's not true.
Yeah, but you've got to be able to afford it if you're not going to do it.
Well, it's called custom.
Yeah, they're not doing that in Santa Rosa where the fires hit last year. There's over 3,000 homes. All of them are wood frame constructions contractors with tool belts and nails are building them.
Although,
Nothing
John,
being.
That's because the insurance is paying.
My friend sells
insurance.
He sells manufactured homes, and up in Santa Rosa, what they do is they put in concrete pads, and then they bring in these manufactured homes and they bolt them down to the pad. And the city of Santa Rosa is accepting these in the burn area. And he's building.
Yeah, but that's not the majority of the homes.
But what I'm saying, I think the point is, like Rob, his home, if it had been built from the, and I suppose if you want to, you can go out and have somebody help you design a home, and then they can bring everybody in and they can start pounding the nails and so on, right, Rob?
Well, everything. Don't get me wrong. This house is delivered and I see them on the road all the time. They come on these big 18-wheelers, and it's just a bunch of frames piled up, right? And that puts the frame together. Then they deliver the doors and the windows, and all of the pieces are delivered. The sheetrock is delivered, and this stuff's not that put together in a factory. The only thing that's put together in the factory
are the frames.
Yeah. The rest of the houses, then they bring all the trades in. No, it's not like
right?
No, it's like it's a wood framed home, just like any other wood framed home.
It's just they could sit out in a yard somewhere and put together that frame themselves by hammering with nails and so on, and then putting up the frame.
It's the same thing.
Instead,
as if it was
it's just
here,
pre-made somewhere else. That's all.
Yeah.
But would you want somebody to come out and build your car in your driveway in the rain and the snow and the sleet?
It's not the same thing. It's not.
But that's what they. That's what they. How they tout it. They say
that's the advantage.
They say the houses, the frames and everything go up in climate-controlled environments. But you know how that goes out the window? Because they build these houses 365 days a year, and they deliver, like I see them now, there's a whole bunch of them because they're still building like crazy here. They're delivering these things, and they're just laying in the street in the rain and in the cold and in the hot, and it doesn't matter. They're building them in climate controlled, but it doesn't stay there.
And at the end of the year, they've got to come in and redo stuff because things have shrunk or grown.
Absolutely. I just had them here.
Warped out and so on.
It's not so much that. It's just, it's natural. You have natural resources that you're building from.
By the way, at the last moment, we have a royal flush, ladies and gentlemen, because Bree is calling from Dubai.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm not in Dubai.
You're not in Dubai? Where are you, Bree?
No, I'm in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute.
Video's coming through.
We're not getting your picture yet. So I don't know.
That picture there looks like on the set of Justified.
No, I'm just getting a blank screen here.
Oh, I'm getting a picture. It looks like it's like a serial killer's bedroom or something.
Oh, really? Well, it
could be me.
Yeah.
Turn your Bree, turn your camera off and turn your camera back on again.
Stuff stacked up.
Okay.
Okay, turn it off and then turn it back on again.
The set of hoarders.
Did he say serial bomber or serial killer?
Same thing.
I could be a serial killer.
No, somehow I'm not getting your picture. Oh, here we go. There we go. I got you. Do a landscape as opposed to portrait. Where are you? You're in an airport.
Yeah.
Where are you? The airport in Hong Kong, I guess.
Yeah, in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and have you just arrived or are you leaving?
I just arrived about half an hour ago, and I'm supposed to be leaving in a half hour, but they delayed it, so I'm here for 3 hours.
Oh, so you're going somewhere else from Hong Kong?
I'm going on to Taipei.
Taipei? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you'll try and call us from there so we can see what Taipei looks like.
Where I'm staying is beautiful. It's in a green mountainous area, so I hope to be able to call.
Oh, try and do it if you can. By the way, speaking of Taipei, meet Phil. He's Taipei.
Yeah. Hey, Reed, did you get a job in Taipei or?
No. This is just a conference, but I'm still negotiating for one here in Southeast Asia, and I'll know more in about 2 months.
Where
1 or 2 months.
Where is Taipei exactly?
Taipei, Taiwan.
Taiwan.
So it's about hour and 50 minutes flight from Hong Kong.
Okay.
and they had an earthquake 2 or 3 days ago, so I'm hoping that's done with.
Yeah.
Although I hear Greece just had it now, so I think the Earth's moving a little bit.
Wow.
But on this flight over from Dubai to Hong Kong, the audio didn't work on my entertainment set, so I didn't get to watch anything. But I debated whether to complain about it, and then I figured, well, I was just sleeping anyway, so.
Right.
But if you buy a combo meal and they leave off the drink, I mean, you feel a little slighted. You're paying a price.
They couldn't switch your seat.
They offered to do that, but it was a bad seat. I had a nice window seat, so I just said, nah. I listened to some old. I listened to the last 2 Rambles, and got caught up.
Oh, okay. All right. So it ain't that bad. And anyway, so Taipei is in Taiwan.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, but Taipei isn't called Taiwan. It's called Taipei.
Yeah, it is. It's like New York, New York.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, Taipei city. Taipei is the city. Taiwan is the country. Dare I say country? Well, yeah.
Island.
Here I have to be careful. I guess I don't have to be too careful about that here in Hong Kong. If I were in mainland, I'd get it.
Which airlines did you fly?
What airline did you fly? He asked.
Cathay Pacific.
That's what.
Cathay Pacific.
That's what I think my wife took to go to Hong Kong. It was Cathay Pacific.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I've been watching the new Manifest TV series.
Yeah.
Where they lose 5 years while they're in the air.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've lost 5 years in the air taking a plane flight. At least I felt that way.
We lose 5 years while we're on the Citizens panel.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He listened to 2 Citizens panels or the Ramble, and that's how he was able to sleep on that long flight.
It did.
Huh?
I woke up and I said, did I hear the end of that conversation? What did Renee say? Yeah. I can't remember. I fell asleep.
Wow.
But it was overnight. So,
I still got to tell you that, that the one valuable, wonderful thing that happened with age is that I'm able to sit here, do a citizens panel in which one person is in 2 people are in California, and one's in Wisconsin, another one's up in Connecticut, another one's out in Queens, another one's in New Jersey, and we got another guy in Hong Kong. It's
amazing.
I'd rather be in Hong Kong.
And the picture that
unfortunately, I'm stuck here.
So
it sounds like you're making a pitch to Sirius.
No.
Have you seen God Friended Me, the new show?
No.
He pitches his podcast to Sirius, and the Sirius guy is really mean.
Oh, really?
Alex wasn't able to play Millions of Powerball, but now that I'm part of the Citizens panel, I am playing, aren't I?
Yes, you are. But but we haven't got a new Powerball yet. It's back to the cheap Powerball.
No, I thought it was 700 and something million.
Well, really?
Yeah. Out there and play. Get out there and play, Alex. We need to win.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I've played that sucker's game. Hey, Bree, thank you for calling us from Hong Kong. Thank you to our good friend Brian for calling us from, where are you again? You're in...
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Jeff Stein from Connecticut, thank you. Rob Alfano, thank you so much. Thank you, Anthony Magno. Thank you, Charlene. I don't know what we're seeing, but it's...
I know. I don't know what you're seeing either.
It's your floor.
It's your foot.
It's your floor.
My foot?
Yeah, your foot. Right. Phil Meyer, thank you. Thanks, John Perulis. Call more
Go
often,
Red
will
Sox.
you?
My foot's way.
Patrick
Thanks,
Blazer.
Tim. Thanks, Tim, from Area 51.
Really love having you here. Tim, thank you for calling. Thank
Area
you.
51 and a half.
Yeah, thank you all for calling. Why don't you give a big wave goodbye to everybody so they can see you saying goodbye. That's what a royal flush looks like, folks. And that's our citizens panel for tonight. Let me just hang up on them here rudely so that I can leave the lines open for the next show, which is Jack Bishop and the Intersection. That will be followed at 1 o'clock in the morning by Connections, and then tomorrow night 9:30, it's The Exchange with Damian Chaplin. I'll be back here again, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Night, everybody.